Hi, I'm Liam from the Bridge Academy crew, and today we are at Bodmin Jail in Cornwall, England, finding out about Selina Wadge, the child killer. We caught up with Chris Wilkes, who told us more about the jail and Selina.
My name's Chris Wilkes, I'm the commercial manager here, so I look after the day-to-day operational side of the jail and also the communication, education, research and museum curation. The current jail, this one was designed by an Irish architect, a chap called F.W. Porter, and the construction then was undertaken by a firm of builders from Plymouth between 1856 and 1861. We have records of 147 staff that worked here, but that's over a longer period. That's from sort of 1861 through to the closure of the jail. Closure of this jail happened over many years. Women left here in 1911. Men from the civil side were out by 1917. And the Royal Navy left here in 1923. Selina Wadge, a young lady in her early 20s. Her crime was to take her tiny young disabled baby son and to basically drop him down a well. Murder. She would have been treated with a degree of dignity. She would have had her head shaved. Prisoners were allowed a bath once every 3 months. Food rations would have been fairly plain, and there would have been a last meal. The prison matron would have spent time with her, as would the prison chaplain, the vicar for the jail, because there was a great sort of strong feeling of redemption of the soul. She was the first person to be executed within the walls of the jail, out of sight of the public. She met her end out of the goods door on the side of the building, surrounded probably with no more than between 7 and 9 members of staff, but that would have included the sheriff and the executioner and his assistant. Now, as far as Selina's spirit goes, there are people who are members of our staff, as well as members of the public, that say that they experience and feel her energy. It has quite an oppressive feel to it. It can make you a little less tolerant than perhaps you'd hope you would be. You will see it almost like a black ball energy. So I've seen it in the form of almost like the shape of a bat moving. And again, you take a double take, it's not a bat, it's just balls of energy moving.
It's said that Selina haunts the 3rd and 4th floor in this prison, targeting mainly pregnant women and young children. Behind me right now is the condemned cell that Selina Wadge was in when she was at this prison. Behind me is where public executions took place for the prisoners in the jail and is known to be the only working execution drop in the UK.
Why did you choose Bodmin Jail?
Why did I choose Bodmin Jail? I chose Bodmin Jail because I've been there before and I really liked it there and I wanted to go and experience the exhibits again.
I chose Bodmin Jail because I wanted to experience it the first time and see what it would offer.
I chose Bodmin Jail because I thought it would be an interesting experience.
What elements did you enjoy the most and why?
I just enjoyed looking around all the exhibits and filming, telling people about each exhibit itself.
I enjoyed mostly the facts and figures about people around prisoners all around Bodmin Jail.
I enjoyed the atmosphere of the jail and the exhibits.
What would you have liked to have seen more of?
Ghosts.
With regards to the filming, what part did you play?
I was the presenter.
I was a producer.
I was the cameraman.
What did you learn from this?
Well, I gained a bit more confidence in the way I presented things.
I was more confident with working with other people.
I learned new camera techniques.
Did you have any existing knowledge about this role? What did you get better at?
Well, I used to watch like Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures and stuff like that, so I did have a bit of knowledge on presenting and I just thought it'd be a good idea and I enjoyed it. So.
As for me, it was my first time as a producer and I was basically working on just kind of learning on the go, so I very much enjoyed it.
I had a basic knowledge of filming with a camera and learned new camera techniques.
How did you personally find the challenges?
It was tough because I didn't have much confidence, so I needed to build up more confidence in myself to be able to speak in front of the camera.
The challenges for me were very exciting because it was something different and we were able to work on the task very much well as a team.
The challenge was interesting as I learnt new camera techniques and had to pull them off very well.
With regards to planning and filming, what would you have done differently?
If I'd done it again, I would plan my lines more of what I would say whilst presenting in front of the camera.
So planning in different spots and working out what we could film.
I would have planned out where my shots would have been before going to film them.
Who were you and why were you brought in to work with the British students?
My name's Andrew and I work for Rio and I'm a videographer and I've got 10 years experience kind of producing, directing and editing videos for commercial basis as well as my own personal projects. And I was brought in to kind of lend my experience and knowledge for them to produce this little project.
What did you do with them and how much time did you have with them, and within that time what was covered?
Okay, so they had an idea. They wanted to visit Bodmin Jail and create a story around Bodmin Jail, but they didn't know particularly what direction they wanted to take it. So we started off doing quite a light session with them where they started researching Bodmin Jail and coming up with a variety of different topics and stories about the inmates and the kind of history of the jail. It then transpired that they wanted to focus in on one of the particular inmates, Selina, and actually delve into the history and find out a bit more about it. So we spent 2 sessions with them kind of brainstorming and doing research. We then spent a little bit of time creating a storyboard and narrowing down the focus on telling the story of Selina and picking up the points that would be of most interest to the viewer, the audience. And then we started to structure how we could create the video. So there was mention, they suggested that they wanted to interview someone. So we started to structure some interview questions that we could put to one of the jail employees, and from there we created this narrative of Selina, who they went to investigate on the day. one of the other sessions that we spent doing as well, we kind of took them down to Ocean Studios, where we spent the day kind of doing video techniques, so how to use the camera, how to position shots, and actual interview technique, as well as Liam in particular, how to present to camera. So we did a couple of takes and a couple of rehearsals on what he would say, and just planned around this video production. From those sessions we created a kind of video document which they would use for the day, to actually go around Bodmin Jail and get the shots that they require.
Individually, how did they progress in their roles throughout their time with you, and who was doing what?
They really took responsibility for each of their roles. So Liam particularly kind of focused on his kind of presenting skill and kind of researching kind of what to say and how to carry the narrative of the video throughout its production. Josh was the camera operator, so he kind of really took to the session we ran on camera angles and video production and how to structure the shots and that sort of thing. Cameron was the main researcher on the project, so he kind of took responsibility for creating the story and actually delving into the history of the jail and figuring out what was of interest to the audience. And Jake kind of took responsibility for the whole project. He was actually coordinating everyone else and actually working with the team to actually manage their time, manage kind of what they were doing in each of the sessions, as well as kind of coordinating the shoot on the actual visit to the jail. So he was very much kind of directing them and actually lining up what shots would work, and working very closely with Josh, and actually ensuring that we captured all that we needed to capture. He was the man that kind of gave the final okay on what we used and what we didn't use.
And how did their roles, how does it link to their future? So Josh in learning about camera techniques, he's wanting to get more into writing, so how might that support him? Jake in terms of building confidence and working with a team, how did the role support his future development? Liam in terms of meeting and networking people and having confidence to make friends and speak to individuals, how did that link to him? And with Cameron, how did the role in terms of him being quite passionate and quite intelligent, how did the role utilise his strengths?
Okay, I think they all grew into each of their roles. So from the first day they didn't necessarily know how to apply themselves, but over the time working with the Rio team, it kind of really developed them as individuals into kind of understanding the skills that they needed to learn to do the roles that they were asked to do, or wanted to do. With Liam, he kind of very much developed his confidence, speaking in front of the camera, which we all know it can be a little bit awkward, but he kind of built up his confidence to do that. He's still a little bit shy about doing it in front of other people, which is understandable, but as the day progressed, or as the project progressed, he really kind of went into it. Josh, kind of his approach to filmmaking, he's got his previous experience of kind of media, and he really took to being behind the camera and actually framing all the shots in a particular way and doing his pans. So you could let him go and he would just do what he needed to do. So he very much took responsibility for getting the footage that we needed. Cameron was very kind of passionate in terms of doing his research and finding out a particular narrative and story that he could develop. With a bit of hammering down and guidance from us, he was able to create an actual story that could be used and made into a little film. Jake, he was very organised and very kind of driven to ensure that the rest of the team were fulfilling on their roles. And I think with all of them, the skills that they've learned and the processes that they've developed would lend themselves really well to any discipline or any future that they apply themselves to pursue. So yeah, I think it's given them quite a rounded experience on the production of video, and how they take that forward in their careers, I think is up to them.
And from your point of view, could you review how the project went?
Yeah, it went really well. I think we learnt a lot of lessons in terms of producing the video. So we didn't necessarily go about the planning the right way, in terms of we knew that we wanted to do an interview, but what we should have done on the day is actually structured the footage around the interview that we had just captured. Instead of going there with a plan of what footage we wanted to capture, we should have been a bit more flexible in our approach to producing what we did. So we did learn a lot of lessons. I think we could have been a bit more thorough in terms of our interview technique and in terms of the content we extracted out of our interviewee. But all in all, it went really well, and I think we would love to do it again. And I think it was a great topic as well. It was something that fascinated the entire team, including myself. I didn't know anything about Bodmin Jail, and I think it was really interesting to delve into the history and actually understand what it was like to be an inmate there, and understand the sorts of crimes and kind of experiences that these prisoners went through, and unfortunately some of them were executed. The way we're going to distribute the production is we're going to upload it to our YouTube channel, and that will be available for them to share amongst their friends and colleagues. That we're also getting them to do a write-up, a review of their experience and the sessions that we've had with them. And again, that will go into the newsletter here at Rio.